Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining this event. My name is Kyle McHenry. I apologize for not having a camera, and I am a software development specialist within the Division of Sustainable Waste Management at the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection. This training session will consist of a pre-recorded video on the entire reporting process from using the Class A, B, C, and D recycling reports and uploading the reports to NJDEP Online. This training session will be split into two parts, using the report and uploading the report to NJDEP Online. After each part, there will be availability for open questions via the text chat from the audience. The session will also be recorded and posted to the website at the same location as the reports and word instructions. So with that, I'll go ahead and start the video. Just let us know if there are any questions you can enter in the Q&A, and one of our recycling team members will be able to assist you. 2022. This training session will cover how to fill out and submit the report via the new submission method, DEP Online, though I'll focus mostly on DEP Online as the report is largely the same. The deadline to submit the 2022 Recycling Facility Annual Report is extended to June 1st, 2023. Beginning this reporting year, these reports must be completed and submitted online through NJDEP Online Business Portal. No reports will be accepted by email. The extension is granted to provide ample time to prepare submissions through the new online service. Please check back regularly for a website update with DEP's comprehensive guidance documents to assist with access, completion, and submission of the report. Should you have any questions, you may reach us by email at recyclingfacilities@dep.nj.gov or call 609-984-3438. To submit an annual report, you must 1. Input your annual report data into the current version of the applicable Excel workbook template. 2. Have an NJDEP Online account and set up your workspace. And 3. Submit the annual report and upload the completed Excel workbook using DEP Online. So let's walk through that now. By the time of the training, the report, as well as the supplementary information for the report, is now available on our website for download, which is the first step for completing the report. So I'll go ahead and navigate to nj.gov/dep/dshw/resource/forms.htm, download and save a local copy of the Excel workbook for the applicable Class Recycling Center annual report. In this case, I'll do a Class B, but a separate workbook is required and listed on the department's webpage for each recycling facility class. Note that recycling facilities that are more than one class will have to fill out a separate workbook for each class of materials they handle. For example, a facility that is both a Class A and B will have to download and fill out separate Class B and C Excel workbooks and upload them separately. So let's go ahead and do that now. So I'm going to navigate to the Class B annual report form and just click the Excel button and give it a second to download and navigate to where it downloaded to. In my case, this is the downloads folder. Go ahead and double click to open it. And when opening the Excel workbook for the first time, you may be prompted with a security warning towards the top of the form. Click the Enable Content button. Sometimes you may be prompted with an Enable Editing button instead, which I was not, but in this case, you just click the Enable Content, you click the Enable Editing button, and then the Enable Content button will appear. You also may be prompted with an additional question asking if you want to make the file a trusted document, and you just click on the Yes button. You may be also be prompted with a red bar saying macros have been disabled. And to fix that, you just navigate to the file, you right click, you hit properties. The file has to be closed to do this also. You click unblock, and you click apply, and you click OK. So for filling out the report, Class B, C, and D facilities must report the monthly quantities and types of recyclable material accepted during the calendar year identified by the county and municipality of origin. So for rows 3 and beyond, add monthly rows for each New Jersey municipality from which the facility received material. Also enter monthly rows to report totals of material that originated outside of New Jersey. And there's a few columns at the end called the other material types, and you can use these columns to report a type of material that is not specified in the previous columns. So you just identify the material type in the specify other field, and then you enter the quantity of material and select the unit in the corresponding other amount and unit fields. So I'm just going to go here and type in some example data. So we'll say the reporting period is 2023. The county is Atlantic, and you can see that these red bars showed up. These just show that these fields are required to be filled out, and if these are not filled out properly, an error will pop up later that I'll show in the future. Just know that some of these fields are drop downs, including the county of origin, municipality, month, and the units fields. And the reason why this is because the data has to be entered in exactly how it's shown in the drop down. If it's not, the fields will clear and you won't be able to prepare the report. So for example, I will select Brigantine City, and if I just try and type in Brigantine, we'll see that it clears, and that's just because it's not set to be exactly Brigantine City. So I'll go ahead and just select a month here. I'll select 2 or 3. I'll say that I had 3 tons of asphalt, and I will select tons. And again, this is the same example. So if I just say tons spelled that way, it will say that the value doesn't match the data validation restrictions, and you can just click retry, and then you can delete that and select tons. So nice and simple. So we'll go to the Class B cent sheet, and again, Class B, C, and D facilities must report the monthly totals of recycled product transferred to each end market. So you just have to enter the monthly rows for each end market to whom the Class B facility sent recycled products. And all this end market information is required. And again, there's also specify other columns at the end. So I will go ahead and type in some sample, and we can see that red highlighting again, and we can see that state is also drop downs. And we can see here that if we pick an out of state, that for example, Alabama, the county will just be populated with an out of state, and this will stay that way. So if I try and overwrite it, it won't work. And then municipality will be free text instead of a drop down. So I can just type in anything. But we'll go ahead and change this back to New Jersey. We'll type in some test data just to make it happy. Type in other test data. So I'll say Atlantic. I'll say it went to Egg Harbor City. I don't know the zip code for that, so we'll just type in zip code, which has to either be 5 or 9 digits. And if it is 9 digits, it will do the formatting for you. So I'll try it, or no, it won't, but that's okay. I was thinking of phone number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. So for phone number, you can just type in. You can just type in the digits, and then it will format it for you. So there's no need to type those in. Enter a month again, and I will say that we did 3 tons of aggregate. Okay, so that's the Class B cent sheet. And then moving over to the transporters and summary sheets, Class B and D, C and D facilities must report the amount of residue disposed each month and the solid waste collector / hauler used to transport the residue. So for transporter name, enter the transporter's name used to ship the residue. For transporter registration number, enter the corresponding registration number for the transporter used to transport residue named. The A901 license number of the transporter should be used. So you just enter total monthly quantities of residue disposed and material marketed. For total amount of residue disposed to solid waste, enter the monthly quantities in tons of residue disposed to the corresponding cells. And then for total amount of material marketed, same thing. And just note that these cannot be left blank. So if your facility did none, you just enter 0. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Enter 0 for all of them. And then I don't have an A901 license number handy, so I'm going to just say test name and test registration number. Okay, and that's it, nice and simple. So before the work, so that's the transporters and summary sheets. Now onto the prepare and validate report sheet. So before the workbook can be uploaded through DEP Online, it must first be validated and prepared for submission. So after entering all of your data into the worksheets, go to the prepare report sheet, validate the data by clicking the validate report button. This action will check that the data entered in the workbook is in a valid format and complete. If there are errors or missing information within the workbook, information about the errors will display beginning at line 12. So I did not have any errors, so we can see that the report appears to contain no errors, but I'll go ahead and make one just to show an example. So I'll go back here and delete the report here. And if we go back and validate the report, try and validate again, we can see that on line 12, there's an issue showing that on the Class B received sheet, the error name is reporting period. It's on row 1, and we can see that there's no reporting period. So I can just go back and fix this. I'll try again with municipality of origin just to show a different example. And we can see that there's this red highlighting. So if I go and click validate, the reporting period error is now gone, but now we have 2 other errors showing an incomplete row, which is that red highlighting, and a municipality of origin error showing that municipality of origin is not selected. So I'll go back here and select Brigantine City, and I'll click validate report again, and we can see that the errors are now gone, so the report's ready to be prepared. So after fixing each error, we'll see that prompt showing that the report is ready, and after the workbook data has been validated, the next step is preparing it for submission through DEP Online. So this should only be done when the workbook is finished and ready to send. To prepare the workbook, you click the Prepare Report button, which will lock the document and keep you from making changes. Therefore, it is recommended to create a backup of this report before pressing the Prepare Report button. This is to ensure you have a version that can be edited in case changes are required to the data in the future. So after pressing this button, a pop-up will display confirming that the report is complete and that the report is ready for online submission. Okay, so that just covered the first part of submitting the new report via DEP Online, filling out the report itself. Were there any questions? I saw that there were a few that were published about whether the process was the same for Class A facilities. That was responded to, but yes, it is. The Class A report does only have the sent sheet, but the rest of the process is the same. Were there any other questions?
So far, it looks like that was it in the chat.
Okay, then I will continue on to the second portion of the training for submitting the report via DEP Online.
Thank you.
Okay, now it's time for the DEP Online portion of submitting the annual report. So first you have to navigate to nj.gov/DEP/online, and this is the webpage that you'll see. So it's important to note that there are 2 boxes on the right, one for being a registered user already and one for new users. New users can just click this registration instructions PDF and follow those directions for requesting access and creating an account for NJDEP Online. And it's just important to note that NJDEP Online requires either Mozilla Firefox or Google Chrome. It may not work with Microsoft Internet Explorer, Microsoft Edge, or Apple Safari. So with that in mind, we can go ahead and log in, and I already did over on this tab. And this is what you'll see initially when you click on the My Workspace tab, because I was not there. So we can see that there are 4 sections. There's a service selection, there's a My Facilities Program Interests, My Services in Progress, and My Services Submitted. Now, when you launch DEP Online for the first time, you won't have a facility, so I'll go ahead and delete that. And I'll show you how to add that. And we also won't have these services. So in order to add them, you click on the Configure Services button, you scroll down to the solid and hazardous waste category, You check the box that says Solid and Hazardous Waste Reporting Services, and then you click OK, which will make the Solid and Hazardous Waste Reporting Services link pop up. And we'll get to that in a second. I just wanted to go ahead and add a facility. So to do that, you click the Add Facility button. And this is where you can either search for those facilities that match your search criteria. If you have a specific ID or name already to go, you can also select the NJDEP program, which it's entirely optional, but I'm going to pick solid waste. And then I'm going to click in the facility ID box because I know the ID of mine. I'm going to click search. And this will bring up facilities currently not in your user profile, which is what I want. So I'm going to click that box and then select Add Selected Facilities. This will bring me back to the My Workspace tab, and we can now see that there's a facility. So I can go ahead and start the actual process of submitting the report. And so to do so, you scroll back up and you click on this link for Solid and Hazardous Waste Reporting Services. And all of these websites and pages may take a minute to load, so just don't click refresh, don't close out, because you may have to restart the process. You may and relog back in. So next is the instructions page, and it just lists instructions, due dates, and the NJCs for each type of report. So we can just go ahead and click continue. Next is the actual selection, which lists a lot of the same information and just general what's needed info, like the report must summarize monthly totals of the types and amounts of the recyclable materials received from each customer. You don't have to read, I'm not going to read all that to you. So you just click which one you do. In my case, it's a Class B from the demo that we did earlier. So I'm just going to click that button and go ahead and click continue. Next is the facility selection, where we just pick the reporting year from this dropdown. It's I'll pick 2022, and then you just choose which facility. And it says that the system is checking for previous submissions, because what will happen is if it does find one, the previous submission will be archived, and this report will supersede that previous submission, which just means that if you have updated data, it may be smart to re-upload. You may have to. So once we have our facility selected and that's been checked, we can go ahead and click continue, which will take us to the case selection page, which just lists permits and approvals applicable to this facility during the selected reporting time period. So we just have to select the permit/approval associated with the report. There's only one, so I'm just going to click it and then select continue. This brings me to the submission name page. Just note that the submission name can be whatever you want. There is one automatically generated for you with what type it is, the year, the activity ID, and then the pref ID. You can also enter in comments, but just please do not enter any urgent comments because they may not be seen right away by the department. If you have any urgent comments, those should be emailed to us directly. So I don't have any comments, so I'm going to click continue. Which again, it may take a minute to load, so just give it some time. Next is the contacts page where you'll have to enter in all of your information from your user profile. And just note you only have to type it in the first time, because what you can do after is click this button to save to my favorite contacts, which I've done previously. And what that allows you to do is select this drop down and then just pick your information. So I'm going to pick my favorite contacts. That's me. Okay, and then I'm going to click on this emergency contact button and do the same thing. Just import my general information. But if this is your first time doing it, you just check this box for save to my favorite contacts and then click save. But I have all my information entered, so I'm going to just click continue. Next is the service specific details and the workbook upload. So we have our permit activity selected, we have our permit document title, we have the reporting year. So we just have to, all we have to do on this page is click choose file, and this box will pop up in order for us to select one. And I'm just going to pick the Class B that I used earlier. And what we can see here is that it will give you a status and it will update, and there will be the circle showing you that it's actually working. You do not have to do anything else on this page. And there we go. Now it says workbook processing complete. So with that done, we can select continue. Next is the workbook upload confirmation, which just asks you to confirm your workbook results below, just to make sure that you've uploaded the correct one. So we can see the reporting year, and we can see the single row I have in the worksheet on the Class B received, Class B sent, the transporter information, and then the summary information for the total amount disposed to solid waste and the total amount of material marketed. This all looks good, so you can select continue. This page is for adding attachments. Attachments are not required, but if you would like to do so, you can click on this button to follow the instructions. You can also just click add attachment, other SHW attachment, add attachment, and you see this box will pop up again, or okay, this will pop up, and then you can select choose file, and it will be the same thing. It will give you an option to navigate to whatever folder and file you'd like to upload, and then you would click open. I'm not going to do that because I don't have any attachments. So I'm also just going to click this remove button to get rid of this box, and then select continue. Next is the service specific certification, where you just say, I certify under penalty of law that all residue generated during the reporting year at the recycling facility for which this report is being submitted has been disposed in accordance with the management rules and the NJACs. I certify that, so I'm just going to check that box and click continue. And I'm actually going to do something a little funky here once it loads. I'm going to click the My Workspace tab and jump out. Let's say I can't finish this right now. I want to come back to this later. So what we'll see here is that there's a new line for My Services in Progress that was not there before. And we can see the application name, that's what I named it, the facility, the description, and the status is awaiting certification. And the last modified date is today, it's 3/24 because I just started it. So in order to get back to that service, I just click the ID where it's underlined in blue, and it will take me right back to where I was previously. So this is the certification page where you'll have to answer your certification questions and actually sign the report. So the certification, the top part just says, again, that if you continue, the previous submission will be archived and superseded. The second part just shows you individual with direct knowledge with the name and user ID of the certifying party. And then the next portion will be the challenge or response question that you have to answer first, that you set up when you made your account, just to make sure that it's you. So I'm going to respond to that and type in the answer. Okay, and then finally, you have to type in your certification PIN, which is not necessarily the password you use to create the account. And also, please note that certification of your PIN constitutes an electronic signature of the submittal in accordance with the aforementioned statement. So with all that good, you click certify. And this page will open that just says, please do not close your browser. This will take a few minutes. It's just finalizing the submission and uploading each part of the report. So you can see there it says part 1 successful, creating the summary. And here we go. So we can see that we have a successful submission. So this is just summary information, the service ID, the type, the name, when it was created, the facility ID, all of the user profile information, the activity information, and then the contacts used. Service detail information, it was a tonnage reporting workbook with that permit activity for that reporting year. And then there were no uploads, no attachments, and then yeah, there's the certification which constitutes my electronic signature. So with that, this submission is complete. You can just click return, which will take you back to the My Workspace tab. Now, if you scroll down to the bottom, you can see that there's a new row for the submission that you just completed. And that is all there is to submitting a report using the new method, DEP Online.
Okay, so that's the process, nice and easy. I see that we still have quite a few questions that we can work through. But just note that if your question was not answered, or if you need any help actually uploading a completed report, you can email us at recyclingfacilities@dep.nj.gov, or you can contact Bureau of Recycling and Hazardous Waste Management at 609-984-3438. I see that there was a question, if we have a problem during this process, who do we contact? Yep, the email or the phone number. What would be a case that you would need to add an attachment? Attachments are not going to be needed, but if you felt that you had I'm not sure if you had like an icon or a logo or a picture or an Excel spreadsheet that you wanted to, well, I guess the spreadsheet is the report, but if you had just like a contact information, or if you didn't want to put all of your information about your end markets, you could always attach a customer list, things of that nature, but attachments will not be required to be added. Are you able to help with Excel reports that we've already completed? If you're experiencing issues with reports you've already completed, I would just go ahead and send an email to recycling facilities and we'll be able to help you further. If I want to input the monthly information the following month, will it save the information in my workspace? So if you're working on the Excel spreadsheet and you, as the months are going on and you wanted to save it there, that would work. Like if you just wanted to go ahead and work ahead on your spreadsheet, you should be able to do that no problem. Just make sure that you save it and you save a copy of it. Still not able to upload Class A and B annual reports on the portal. Do you know when that will reopen? As of the time of this training, the portal should be open and available for uploading reports, uploading completed reports. But if any further questions about that, if you're not able to go through and use the portal, please send us an email. As far as I'm aware, the portal is available for submissions for Class A, B, C, and D recycling facilities. And I do not see any further questions at this time. Are there any final questions before we wrap up the session? And again, if you do need any further help, please email us at recyclingfacilities@dep.nj.gov, or you can contact the Bureau at 609-984-3438. I'll just keep the event open for a few more minutes. Is there another way I can find my facility ID? The one registered under my site address is listed as air. I already tried doing with them. That is the only facility that appeared. I would go ahead and email the recycling facilities email. I don't know if I'll be able to assist you immediately with that issue, but one of us will be able to help.
Hi, this is Dan Murray. For finding your facility ID, one possible method is under the box where you would enter your ID, there's another box for facility name. If you search that name, it'll give you a bunch of IDs related to the name, and you can just find the one that is under the solid waste program, and that should give you the ID. Or as Kyle said, you can just shoot an email to us and we can get you the ID that you need.
Yeah, I tried scrolling back through the video, and as we can see here, selecting the NJDE program is optional. So if you select solid waste and it doesn't work, then you can just leave that blank. And like Dan said, you can either search by facility ID or facility name directly. There are also options up here with these bubbles where you can retrieve all the facilities that are associated with an ID or all program interests for a certain PI type. You could retrieve the sites and all of the sites facilities that match search criteria, which is just ID and name. So you do have multiple options for finding your facility.
It looks like that facility's owner has added a statement that that is the only facility that appears with the site address. So I would just recommend you just reach out to the recycling facilities inbox and give us some more information. We'll help you out. That it looks like you got it. Thank you.
Well, you're
Oh,
welcome.
there's another one. Oh,
Are
look, there's
we
another question.
Are we
Yeah.
allowed multiple users in the DEP reporting application? If you mean when creating an account for DEP Online, typically you just create each user at a facility should have their own account. So a facility can have multiple users, but you should just be filling it out. When creating an account, you should create one for yourself because you do need your own personal questions, your own certification PIN and password. So we typically recommend to have one account per user, not one account per facility. If I'm assuming that's what your question meant. So it seems like the amount of questions are slowing down, so I'm just going to ask one final time if there are any questions, but also, again, I would just recommend that if anybody has any further issues filling out or submitting the report, or just any issues with finding the facility information, to just email us again at recyclingfacilities@dep.nj.gov, and you can also call us at 609-984-3438. I'll just give another minute or two for any last questions, and then we'll go ahead and wrap up the training session. But thank you everyone for joining. I hope this was informative. Again, this session was recorded, and it will be posted on our website at the same location that the Microsoft Word instructions, as well as the reports, are available for download. Okay, I don't see any more questions, so I'm going to go ahead and end the session. Once again, thank you everyone, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.
Thanks, Kyle.